So in this video, I'm going to push the limits of some of my NDAs with Bungie, I think. And I really want to break down the different types of content creator events with Bungie and why I think they are good in their own ways and give real examples to how I think they have all made the game better. So I've only been involved with these events for the last like year and a quarter, somewhere in there. So I'm sure this stuff has evolved in drastic ways over time, but I'm going to give you my perspective as someone who very recently has started getting invited to these things digitally and in person with Bungie. And I want to talk about that and just shine some more light on it, because I have found that when the community doesn't know things, they get very hateful towards people who do know things. And so, for instance, with the last Renegades event, there were a lot of voices in the community being very hateful towards creators who were there on Reddit, on Twitter, in my comment section, in live streams, for instance. And it has gotten to the point where, like, there are creators that are terrified to say they were invited to Bungie events because they don't want to be, like, bullied off of the face of the internet, right? You guys can be pretty hateful sometimes. It's just an objective truth of the Destiny community. Now, one way that I'm going to kind of highlight this is by showing you a Lucky video. Now, I know Lucky's whole stick is kind of like reading a headline and then reacting to it, not really putting much thought into it, not asking many questions to people who were actually involved with the events or anything like that. And so in the video, he says a lot of things that are just objectively false or paints creators in a very bad light. I don't know what Lucky's motivations are. He probably just wanted to make a video, get some clicks. I don't know. I'm not here to send hate to him, but I'm here to point out things that he said that are objectively false and give you guys insight into the truth behind them. So I'm going to be playing some clips from this video. I have no ill will behind this, okay? I just want to make that clear. So he starts off by saying that we were all invited to a summit.
Very unlikely. What's happening is a Destiny 2 community summit where content creators are invited to play Renegades early.
Now, I want to be very clear. There are no like hard and fast buckets with the types of events at Bungie, but generally they fall into 3 or 4 different categories. And pre-capture events or pre-release capture events are not summits. And this is something we'll break down further later on in the video. But summits are events that are usually virtual, not always, but in my experience, usually virtual, and they are focused on getting community feedback. Pre-capture events are a marketing tool where we go, we see some cool stuff, and then we get to make videos and share our opinions with all of you. Now, there is some feedback that happens at pre-release capture sessions, but it is not the main focus, and it really only happens because the devs talk to us during like lunch or dinner. And so these are not the same thing. And so by telling the community we're at a summit, you set expectations that are not realistic, because 98% of our time is playing new content and not interacting with things that need to be fixed, like the portal, and not giving feedback about things that need to be fixed, like the portal. So that's a very important distinction that we'll go into further later, but I want to continue breaking down this video. Next, he says this.
They are flown out to Bungie. They are hosted in a very nice hotel. They get to eat some pretty fancy dinners and upload their gameplay early.
So apparently we're all hosted in Michelin key hotels, and we all get to eat at Michelin star restaurant. No, we're in normal like 3-star hotels. They're fine. Like, I'm not here to bash on the accommodations that Bungie is nice enough to pay for, but it's like not a fancy hotel. It's just a normal hotel. It's a hotel that me and my wife would stay in if we go on vacation, you know? We get to eat some pretty fancy dinners. We do? Did I miss my invite? Like, the coolest place that we get to eat is Din Tai Fung, which is my favorite restaurant in Bellevue. And don't get me wrong, I freaking love Din Tai Fung, okay? But it's not like, we're not going to freaking steakhouses, guys. Like, what is happening? Do you guys think... whatever, it's fine. I would also like to point out that, sure, there is, if you're having a good time, you are more likely to see the content in a positive light. Sure, I can totally understand that. But there are people in the community acting like we all sell out for like a free flight, 2 nights in a hotel, and a couple of meals. And it's like, I don't know about you guys, I value my integrity, or I like to think I value my integrity a lot more than a couple $1,000s worth of expenses that are comped by Bungie. So it's a bit of a self-report if you think that we're selling out for that little amount, but I mean, everyone's got a price, but mine is much higher than that, believe me. Yeah, we have a fun time. We get to hang out with our content creator friends we haven't seen for a while. We get to hang out with our dev friends that we haven't seen in a while. And we get to have interesting conversations and talk about areas of the game where you normally wouldn't get to talk about. That is all true. But it happens in normal hotels and like chain restaurants, or local, like small local places. So let's not get that twisted. Next, he says that sometimes we
Played the whole campaign. It was incredible. It was amazing. We've seen this time and time again, year after year.
say we played the whole campaign. That has literally never happened. That's just a lie. I don't know. We usually play 2 or 3 missions. So, incorrect. And then he goes on this whole soapbox about how the community feels left out.
I mean, if we're being honest, you're kind of treated like second-class citizens here, Your thoughts, opinions, and input really doesn't mean very much because you're not a fancy content creator with 100,000 subscribers on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, whatever.
I know it's so easy to sit here on the internet, and I'm in a very privileged position where I get to talk to these teams, and I get to talk to the community team and see how they monitor feedback and stuff like that. And that's a black box, and I recognize that, right? And so that's part of the reason I do these videos. But it's like they could be, I'm sure, doing a better job of collecting feedback in certain ways. And I'm sure DMG in his new role, that's one of the main things he's probably working on, if I had to guess. But it's not like they don't already try to do this. Every week on Reddit or Twitter or on the Bungie forums themselves, there's some sort of focused feedback thread on, hey, what do you think about this part of the game? Or how do you think we could change this to make it better in the future? DMG has to put up with the most heinous shit I have ever seen because he puts himself out there on Twitter and he's constantly engaging with people trying to get feedback to make the game better. Bungie also sends out like paid surveys all the time. Like, I've never gotten one, but I see people get them on Reddit or on these various leak Twitter accounts where it's like, Bungie teases new stasis supers in paid survey or whatever. And it's like, they do this. They do the exact, that stuff that you see in those surveys, that is essentially a watered down version or like a more vague version of what a community summit for creators looks like. There have also been creator summits where they invite people from Reddit or, people with followings on different sites. But there's a reason that they have to take different approaches as you increase the number of people that are seeing the information. If you only have 5 or 10 creators or people that are seeing future information, stuff that isn't in the game, could be in the game possibly in 6 months to a year if everyone likes it, you have 10 people who are very locked in on the game. They know what's going on, and it's not super confusing for them. They know how to separate the live game to or with or from potential future stuff. But let's say they just go live on Twitch one day, right? And they're like, all right, 2 million people watching. Here's stuff we might add to Destiny 2. Do you know how confusing that would be to the general community? Oh, when did Bungie talk about this? Was it in one of those maybe they're going to add it streams? Or was it in an actual reveal stream? Or, oh no, Bungie said this. Oh wait, this shit. And then it launches completely changed and people freak out because it's obviously gone through some iteration. Like, there's a reason they changed their method of collecting feedback based off of the scope of amount of people that are present. Also, I don't know if any of you have ever looked at Bungie's stream, like their live chat during stream. It's pretty vile, like 90% of the time. So, of course, they need to have different methods. And sure, they could probably do better. But saying they don't care about community feedback at all is ridiculous when one of the things that made Bungie stand out all of those years ago was the fact that they were so forward-facing with the community compared to other companies, especially companies developing live service games and looter shooters. So, I just don't even know what we're doing here.
Like, everyone was coming after Skarrow and Mactix and all these guys that were, giving some positive reviews of Edge of Fate for quite a while there. I mean, now they've kind of switched sides, but for a while there, they were giving a lot of positive feedback and views, and people were coming after them saying, hey, you guys went to the community summit and you let the portal go active. F you guys, right?
Man, there are so many things to say about this clip, I just don't even know. First off, why the hell do I look like Harrison Ford in Captain America 2 Big Red Bird? What's happening here? Why am I that color, Lucky? Fix your freaking saturation, dude. Second off, What do you mean we switch sides? This is like, it's not only like, are you clearly showing ignorance of our actual positions from the content we actually put out after playing Edge of Fate in the the things that we said publicly through videos or streams or tweets, me and Mac here in this case. But you didn't even watch the goddamn video that you reacted to, because I saw you react to it. Like, you clearly have no comprehension of what we're saying, because it is so obvious. I believe I link the video in that video, or I show a clip, or I show the freaking thumbnail. It's like, we didn't flip sides. It was there the whole time. You guys just aren't paying attention to our content, to our actual opinions, and you form your own. And so then you tell everyone that, oh my God, Bungie treats them like kings. They just spread the peanut butter between their toes and they lick it up, and then they buy them first class hotel or flights, and then they put them in 3 Michelin key hotels, and then they take them to Kobe Bryant's steakhouse, and then they make the game worse. Like, you're sitting here, you're saying things that are not true. You're not comprehending what I'm literally saying in the goddamn video behind you. And it's just like, and then people wonder, oh, I wonder why everyone's so pissed off at Skarrow and Mactix. And it's fine, dude. I've been on the internet long enough. This is fine, okay? I'll sit here and rage. But I'm so scared for the new creators that go to these events that are going to be labeled all of this stuff. And they have smaller channels and they haven't been exposed to this stuff. And they should just be excited to share with their communities what they got to see at their first time at Bungie. And instead, there's a chance that now they are the subject of a freaking hate bait campaign because people don't do 5 minutes of research before putting up a freaking video on the internet. And that bugs me to absolutely no end. So why only creators, not the entire community? Shills only. That's important. We got to touch on that. Keep in mind also, if you invite a creator to one of these events, it's much easier to hold them to their NDA. We have things to lose. We have hobbies or jobs or income or whatever to lose, right? This is a pretty big part of our lives. If you just show some random guy some stuff, like with all of the marathon playtests, it's very hard, even with legal action, to stop them from leaking anything, right? And so there's a reason they pick people that they know where we live, they know who we are, they know our tax information, and they can legally screw us the hell up if we step out of line. That's another reason it's primarily creators at these events. Types of actual creator events. So there are 3 or 4. We'll say there are pre-capture events, there are summits, there are virtual summits, and then there's like activities. We call those activations. So pre-capture or pre-release capture events, that's what we just went to. That's what I did back with Edge of Fate as well. This is mainly a marketing tool. There's an expansion coming up. You want to show people a select assortment of content for them to react to, for them to make content on. And yes, there is some feedback. For instance, when we are in the playing spaces, you know, they have a setup. Mactix has an awesome video. I wish I would have vlogged while I was at this thing. I did not, but Mac did, and it's awesome. He shows kind of the behind the scenes of the whole summit process, or he shows the behind the scenes of the whole pre-release capture event process. It's awesome. Great video. I'll have that link down below. But we're all like shoulder to shoulder playing on PC, and there are devs that are walking around. So like Robbie Stevens will be walking around, Tyson Green will be walking around. They'll be asking us questions about what we're playing. Sometimes that'll veer into bigger parts of the game. You saw my interview with Ben Womack where I kind of start to press on the portal a little bit more. Those conversations happen, but they happen much more at like lunch. And every time, like you can ask anyone at these events, like you're talking to them, and Robbie will be like, oh, that's actually a really great idea. Let me pull out my phone, take a note, bam, bam, bam. I think Tyson has a notepad that he carries around. And so it's like, it's always really cool to have those moments, but that's not the purpose of pre-release capture events. It's to capture footage, share it with your community. And that definitely influences who they invite to these events as well. And there are certain creators that they likely don't invite. Because remember, when you are representing Bungie, when you have footage early and they put trust in your brand and they're elevating your brand, you are then somewhat of a representative of them. So if they take someone who uses their platform to say things that are objectively not true all of the time, or you're just a hateful person in other cases, that's not Dick It Lucky, or like you just like don't have a filter publicly or whatever, they're less likely to be like, hey, let's put our brand behind this guy's brand, right? There is a certain standard that I'm sure, I haven't talked to them about this, but I'm sure there's a certain standard that they look for when they are working with creators. Then you have community summits. These are at Bungie. I've only been to one of these. It was for Marathon. They invite a wider variety of people. So like when I went to the Marathon one, it was a lot of Tarkov people, a lot of Apex people, some, I think like a Battlefront person or something, some Rainbow Six Siege people all over the place. For Destiny, I've only been to virtual summits. I've never been to like an actual summit, but they still do have in-person summits. I know they had one for Renegades. I wasn't invited to it, but they do happen. So the in-person summits, how it works for Marathon at least, it's much more like burst and focus. So they're longer overall. They're a couple extra days, but it's, hey, play this for 2 or 3 hours. Now we're going to go in a conference room and we're going to talk about it. And then play this for 2 or 3 hours, and then we're going to talk about it. And then you get lunch, and then 2 or 3 hours talk about it. And then usually they cap off the days by being like, hey, we're going to focus group you. Here's this character design. How does this make you feel? And like for all the Marathon stuff where I said I hated the design of the medic character, that came directly from those events where the first time I saw him, I was like, that guy looks ridiculous. And that feedback has been captured, and now that character looks different. All of the stuff about, there were like 10 of us, 20 of us in the room, and we're all like, no, you guys need to implement prox chat. That was at a feedback event. And so these sorts of things are very different because when we play Renegades content, there is no conference room that we go into and they're like, hey, tell us, how does Lawless Frontier make you feel? Look at the design of the Pikers. Do you like the color scheme that we picked? There's none of that. It's, hey, play our game. Let's chat a little bit at lunch, but just capture all the footage you can. Very different types of events. Virtual summits, in my experience, tend to be even smaller. I think they do more of them. I don't really have a lot of insight into that. I've done quite a few of these over the last year. They usually put up like a PowerPoint presentation. Here's stuff we're thinking about doing. Here's some feedback. And what I will say, I've talked about this before, myself and a few other creators that I'm good friends with, we have been in these summits, these virtual summits, and we have given feedback that has aligned directly with changes that they have made. Now, I don't want to take credit for the light system being better than it was when it was pitched to us, but the light system was way worse, if you can believe it, than what it was when it launched in Edge of Fate. And we all said that it was not going in a good direction, and they made some changes that made it better. Yes, even though it launched in a bad state. Same thing with the new armor stats on your armor. Some of those were very different, and we had very strong opinions of them. And then when they launched, they are completely changed. And so I never want to sit here and take credit and be like, it was directly our feedback at the summits that made this system. But there are things that are good or better in the game right now that were much worse when some of us saw early versions of them. And I'm sure that plays into the surveys given to the community as well. So to be clear, I just want to say, I do not expect Bungie to make every change that we ask for during a summit, right? Like, they invite a lot of people across multiple summits, digital or whatever, from many different communities. And we're all going to give feedback, and there are different reasons why they may or may not be able to or be willing to make the changes that we ask for, right? Sometimes, like with the portal, when we gave the feedback that we didn't like the light system and they partially addressed it, I'm sure there are reasons why they didn't do the full transformation, and I'm pretty sure all of that comes down to development time or the resources that they would have to pull off of some other piece of future content to fix it, right? Like, they were almost certainly pretty fully invested at that point, and they did their best to kind of make it feel better at the time pre-release. Obviously didn't work, but that's you know, I don't walk into a Teams call with Bungie and be like, I expect you to make every change or whatever. We're there to offer feedback in hopes that our perspective helps make a better version of the game, because none of us are developers. We're all just content creators. I'm a chemist. Like, no one knows what the hell is going on. We can give our opinion. We can say, hey, this doesn't feel good. Hey, we think this feels good. We want more of this, that sort of thing. But it's up to Bungie to find the time and the resources to make those changes or additions, if they even think it's a good idea in the first place. So I just wanted to clear that up. The fourth type of creator event is like an activation. This is like when there's creator tournaments or whatever. Bungie sends you like a shirt or some emblems to give away. You get to do some cool event. I always love doing these. I think they are so much fun. There's the speedrunner events. There's some of the cosplay ones that we've done for like Assassin's Creed over the years. There was the, I wasn't in this one, but it was so awesome. The Pantheon, like there were the 2 creator teams and they raced. Like, I love stuff like that. Those are really great because they don't give like feedback towards the actual game, but they get the community involved. And Bungie, or Destiny's obviously a community game, and it feels much better when everyone is excited and interacting together. So that's the different types of events. No one just goes there and glazes Bungie. They don't want people who do that. Why are they spending money for you to be there and wasting time on you being there if they're inviting you to a summit and you're not going to give actual, actionable, and concise and comprehensible feedback? That literally makes no sense. They wouldn't have to have people at all. These, like, the community is so conspiracy brained, but Occam's razor. Like, just think, if Bungie didn't care about our feedback for summits, why would they have them at all? So, I don't know. I probably yapped a little too much and I probably missed some points, but point being, pre-capture events are not summits. Yeah, I don't know. If you have any more questions, let me know down in the comment section below. I'm sure I forgot something, but that's what I got for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you're excited for some Renegades content. Launches tomorrow. Gonna be pretty awesome. Have a great night.